If your team is still doing GSTR-2B reconciliation with VLOOKUP, manually copying portal data, matching invoice by invoice, spending 2 days chasing mismatches, this video is going to change how you work. I'm going to walk you through a complete production-ready Excel tool that takes your GSTR-2B portal download and your purchase register from Tally, Zoho, SAP, any ERP and reconciles item automatically. It handles multi-source registers, IMS rejected invoices, invoice number format differences, date mismatches, value tolerance, and it produces categorized audit-ready output. No VLOOKUP, no manual work, one refresh. This is for chartered accountants managing GST compliance for clients, for finance controllers and CFOs where GSTR-2B reconciliation is a monthly pain, and for senior accountants tired of doing this manually. By the end, you will know how to configure this tool for your specific ERP, run a reconciliation in under a minute, understand every output category, and handle edge cases like IMS rejected invoices and cross-state GSTIN mismatches. Let me start with why the current approach breaks down. Problem 1. Invoice number format mismatches. Your supplier files ENV/2025/001 on the portal. Tally books it as ENV-2025-001. VLOOKUP sees two different values, marks it unmatched. You then manually compare hundreds of this. Problem 2. Date format chaos. Your purchase register has 31st March 2025. The portal has 31/03/2025. Excel date matching fails silently. You don't discover the error until your CA flags it. Problem 3. Multi-source purchase registers. Tally for domestic, Zoho for imports. You have to manually union them before you can even start reconciliation. That step should not exist. Problem 4. IMS rejected invoices. Since October 2024, invoices you have rejected on IMS portal appear in a separate tab in GSTR-2B. Most teams either miss this tab entirely or handle it outside the reconciliation. This is a compliance gap. Problem 5. No audit trail. A VLOOKUP output does not explain why something is a mismatch, does not tell you the action required per invoice, and does not summarize ITC at risk by category. You rebuild it from scratch every single month. This tool solves all 5. Before we get into setup, let me show you how the tool is structured. This is the workbook and the tool. 7 sheets. Let me click through them quickly. Parameters. 1 cell. The base folder path. GSTR-2B setup. Configure your portal file. Purchase setup. Configure your ERP sources. Tolerance setup. Set your matching threshold. Reconciliation. The main output. Summary, ITC position grouped view. Instruction, the build guide. Here is the structure visually. The 3 setup sheets feed into reconciliation engine. The engine produces 2 output, the detailed reconciliation sheet and the summary. The matching runs 3 passes. Pass 1, full GSTIN plus invoice number. Pass 2, PAN, that is characters 3 to 12 of GSTIN plus invoice number. This catches cross-state filings where the state code differs but the company is the same. Pass 3, IMS rejected invoices checked against your books. Whatever does not match in any pass becomes either only in GSTR-2B or only in the books. 7 output status is total. We will cover everyone. Prerequisites checklist. Before setup, confirm you have these 4 things: Excel 2016 or later or Microsoft 365, your GSTR-2B download from GST portal, your purchase register exported from your ERP, and a dedicated folder on your computer for this reconciliation. Let me show you where to download GSTR-2B. Go to gst.gov.in, log in, go to returns in the top navigation, and then return dashboard. Select your financial year return period. Click on GSTR-2B. Click on GSTR-2B. You will see download Excel button. Click it. The portal takes few minutes to generate the file for a large data set. Once downloaded, do not open it. Do not modify it. The tool reads it exactly as the portal produces it. This is what the file looks like inside. 5 metadata rows at the top, 2 rows of merge headers, data from row 8, The tool handles this structure automatically. You never need to clean or reformat both a download. Now let's go to the folder pack. So you get this particular pack folder, GSTR-2B pack, when you download it. And it has two files or one folder and a main engine file. So this folder will be your source data. So if you go inside and let's look at sample purchase register. Don't worry, we will walk you through the folder setup and everything later in this video. So let me open sample purchase register tally. Let me zoom in a bit. This is typical tally export. Headers in row 1, date, voucher number, GSTIN/UIN, gross total, taxable value, IGST, CGST, SGST. Now let me show you Zoho CSV file, and this is a Zoho Books export. Completely different column names: invoice date, invoice number, vendor, GSTIN, total amount, taxable amount, same underlying data, entirely different headers. The configuration table handles this mapping. You tell the tool once which column in your ERP correspond to which standard field. After that, it handles everything regardless of format or source. Now let me show you the folder structure. When you download this particular pack, it will be a zip file. Once you unzip it, you need to put it in your D drive or C drive. Do not put it inside a cloud drive like OneDrive or anything, because it will interfere with your automated folder file path, which is really essential for you to get this thing running in out of the box shape. So here is the full folder path. I have put it in the C drive, and this is the complete folder. You will have one subfolder which is GSTR-2B_data. Do not change this name at all. Keep it as it is, because Power Query reads this and Power Query is case sensitive. This is your main file which I already showed you. This is the main file, Reconciliation Engine. And whatever the folder path is, if you go back to your main file, if you go to parameters, you will see that path here. And in the source folder, we have these files. I already showed you these two files, and this is the sample download from the portal. This is the folder layout as I explained. Base folder contains the workbook and the GSTR-2B_data subfolder. All sources file goes into GSTR-2B_data. Now let me walk you through what is this parameter table. It is automated table. It has a formula which checks the exact folder name where you have saved the files. The path must end with backslash. With the backslash, the tool works. Without it, tool cannot read GSTR-2B_data folder and returns no data. This is the number one setup mistake, so do not repeat it. Basically, when you download and open the file, once you have set it up in a secure folder or in a folder where you always going to use this particular setup, keep it as it is. This formula will derive the exact folder path automatically. Now let's go to GSTR-2B setup sheet. 4 columns, let me go through each. File underscore keyword first. The tool scans everything inside GSTR-2B_data and picks file whose name contains this keyword. So this keyword is essential in your file name, which is here. So whenever you save this file, when you download this from the GST portal, ensure that whatever name you give for the period, it's up to you, but this particular letter GSTR-2B is there in any place, like it could be a suffix, prefix, or in the middle. Power Query is smart enough to look for this particular letters GSTR-2B and filter that particular file. It is like, think of a search. You type a unique word, tool finds the matching file. You never type the full file name or path. If your GSTR-2B file is named GSTR-2B_March 2025, entering GSTR-2B or March 2025 is enough. Make it specific enough that only one file in the folder matches it. Return period. A reference label only, does not affect the processing. Here I have entered 03-2025, that is March 2025. So you can put March 2025 as well. It doesn't matter. Column C, included underscore amended, yes or no. Yes means Y includes B2BA and B2B-CDNRA tabs for amended invoices. If you are not sure whether supplier filed amendment this period, enter Y. The tool handles empty amendment tab without error. Column D, include underscore IMS underscore rejected. Here you have to put yes or no. Yes processes the IMS rejected tab. Set this to yes or Y only if you have actually rejected invoices on IMS portal this period. IMS rejected tabs only appear in GSTR-2B files from January 2025 onwards. Now let's go to purchase register setup. This is the most important step. Get this right and everything else flows. Get this wrong and you will get 0 matches. 1 row per ERP source. I have Tally and Zoho, so 2 rows. As you can see on the screen. Let's go through column by column, starting with source label, this particular column. Display name of this source. It appears in your output so you know which system each invoice came from. I'll type Tally. So here I'll type the Tally keyword. File keyword column, that is column B. Same concept as above. Unique word for the purchase register file name. My file is purchase register underscore Tally and I'll enter Tally. So that keyword you need to enter. Skip rows, column C. How many rows before the header row in your file? Standard Tally export has headers in row 1. So this is 0. So if your ERP has more blank rows on top before the main data, that is before the header row starts, you need to put accordingly. And remember, Power Query counts from 0. So if you had 3 empty rows, you should type 2 here, 0, 1, 2. And similar pattern you need to follow. Date local, this is very critical. Your ERP and portal uses different date formats. Tally exports 01 March 25. The portal uses 31/03/2025. The locale setting tells the tool how to parse dates from your specific ERP. Use EN, that is small ENN, dash GB, that is caps GB, for DDMMYYYY, which covers the most Indian accounting software. Use EN small US caps only if your file uses MMDDYYYY. Let me show you the same. Here you can see the date. It is DDMMYY. So here we need to enter EN-GB. I need the exact column headers from Tally file, which is this file. Let me read them. Date, voucher number, note the full stop, which is very critical. GSTIN/UIN, gross total, taxable value, IGST, CGST, SGST. Column E, GSTIN underscore column, GSTIN/UIN, invoice underscore number underscore column, voucher number with the full stop exactly as appears in Tally. So this particular full stop is critical. You need to type exactly as per the Tally export. Invoice underscore date underscore column, date, invoice underscore value underscore column, gross total, taxable value column, taxable value, IGST column, IGST, CGST column, CGST, SGST column, SGST, SAS column, leave blank. For your reference, the complete Tally column mapping. Pause here if you need to copy this. Now let's go to Zoho setup, which is this particular setup. Zoho headers, invoice date, invoice number, vendor GSTIN, total amount, taxable amount, IGST amount, CGST amount, SGST amount. Similarly set up for Zoho. Exactly same as per Zoho export report. So let's open Zoho CSV. This particular values. Column headers, you need to type it exactly here. And this is a one-time exercise. Once your particular ERP system, whichever it is, either you are working with 2 systems like here in this example or 1, you have to set it up only once, not after that. So when you start using this engine, that is Power Query, Excel Power Query engine, you need to set it up once. The column name mapping step is where most error happens. If you misspell a column header, even one character, that field will null for every record from that source. When in doubt, copy the column name directly from ERP file rather than typing it. That is the best approach. Now let's go to tolerance setup sheet. 4 settings. Let me explain what each one does. Tax _ heads _ ABS _ tolerance. Maximum rupee difference on each of IGST, CGST and SGST for the record to still be classified as match. Default is ₹1. This covers standard rounding at 2 decimal places. Column B, taxable value percentage column. Taxable value percentage tolerance. Maximum percentage difference in taxable value. Default is 0.1%. Column C, taxable value absolute tolerance. Maximum absolute rupee difference in taxable value. Defaults to ₹10. The tool uses either percentage or absolute, whichever is more lenient. And the last column, date tolerance days. Maximum days between portal date and books date to still match. Default is 7 days. The invoice still matches, but date _ flag column will warn you. Default value works for most use cases. Adjust if your ERP round differently or your team book invoices with longer delays. Now let us run the reconciliation. I will delete all this data and I will also delete this data. And I will go to data, refresh all. As you can see, data appeared. This is your output. Let me walk you through what you're looking at. Let's go to reconciliation tab first. Here are the columns. 7 possible statuses. Let me go through each one. I will filter out live in the spreadsheet and show you the real rows. So let's go to match rows or match pass. So here you can see the status in column A. Match, invoice found in both portal and books, amount within tolerance. The difference columns are 0 or near 0. Action required says claim ITC as per GSTR-2B amount. So these are the status, all automated through Power Query. So if I filter match, this row is also match, but look at the date flag column. It says date difference greater than the tolerance. The amount match, but the date in your books is more than 7 days off from the portal date. The record is still match. You can claim ITC, but verify the date difference with your supplier. Common cause your team booked the invoice in a different period. And this one has a rounding flag. Tax amounts are within ₹1 tolerance, but there is a small rounding difference. Disclosure item only, no ITC impact. Now let's check another one. Second one, match PAN fallback. Now look at this to GSTIN. Portal shows 29 starting with the number. State code is 29, which is a prefix for the column C here. Karnataka, your book shows 27, the book GSTIN number. State code 27 is Maharashtra. Same company, different state registration. The PAN sits in the position 3 to 12 of GSTIN. The tool extracts it from both sides. In this case, the PAN matches with this particular number. So the invoices match on PAN basis. The match _ note says, so if you go to the right side and if you read this note, it says GSTIN state code differs, verify supplier field under correct GSTIN. Before claiming ITC, confirm with supplier and document it in your working paper. Now let's check another status from first column. Let's go to value mismatch. So if you go to portal taxable value, it is 5084.75, while book taxable value shows 5500. 415.25 is the difference, well beyond your tolerance value of 10 rupees. And let's see what is the action required. Do not claim until resolved with supplier. Hard stop. Go back to the supplier, establish which figure is correct, get a corrected invoice or adjust your books, then rerun entire reconciliation workflow, this particular workflow. Now let's try another filter. Portal columns are filled. Books columns are empty. You can see here, these two columns, pay attention here. Books are empty, portal is filled. Supplier filed this invoice, but there is a no matching record in your purchase register. 3 likely reasons: invoice not yet booked in your ERP, booked under a different invoice number, or supplier filed the wrong GSTIN. ITC is available on the portal, but do not claim it until you have traced it in your books. Now let's look at only in books filter. We go here and select this. Click OK. Books columns are filled, portal columns are empty. Your purchase register has this invoice, but supplier has not filed on the portal yet. Now here let's go to the action required. ITC is not available until supplier files. This category is your deferred ITC position. The total tax amount in these rows is ITC you have recorded but cannot yet claim. Also, look at your invoice numbers carefully. Sometimes an only in books and an only in GSTR-2B record are actually the same invoice with number format difference. For example, INV-001 in your books versus INV-001 without the dash on the portal. If you spot these pairs, escalate to your accounts team to standardize recording in the future. Let's filter one more status. Rejected on IMS in books. You have a conflict. Portal says you rejected this invoice on IMS. Your book says you received and recorded. Now let's look at this status, which is rejected on IMS books. You have a conflict. Portal says you rejected this invoice on IMS. Your book says you received it and recorded it as a purchase. Let's see the action. You have two options: unreject it on IMS portal before the filing deadline to claim ITC, or reverse the booking in your accounts if the rejection was correct. Do not leave any rows in this category unresolved before you file. Now let's look at another status. Rejected on IMS, not in books. Simplest case, you rejected this invoice on IMS and it is also not in your books. Everything is consistent. Action required. Let's see what Power Query has produced. Action required. No action needed unless the rejection was made in error. Review to confirm it was intentional. Now we'll look at the summary sheet. The summary sheet, each reconciliation category as a row with invoice count and total amount. For a quick ITC review, match rows are ITC available to claim. Value mismatch is ITC at risk. Do not claim. Only in books is your deferred ITC position. IMS in books requires resolution before filing. This is the total row as you can see. This gives you a live grand total that updates on every refresh and stays correctly pinned to the bottom regardless how you sort. Never add a manual row inside a Power Query output table. It breaks sorting, conflicts with filters, and gets overwritten on next refresh. So please remember that. 4 scenarios that come up regularly. These are the edge cases. Multi-GSTIN companies. If your company has multiple GST registration, run the tool separately for each GSTIN. Each has its own GSTR-2B download and its own GSTR-2B data folder. One workbook per GSTIN. Large purchase registers. For registers with more than 50,000 rows, the first refresh can take up to 4 to 5 minutes. If performance is a concern, split by supplier type, domestic in one file, import in another, and configure 2 rows in purchase register _ setup tab. Next period filing. Supplier files in the next period. A supplier files an April invoice for March purchase. In your March reconciliation, it shows as only in books. In April, it shows as only in GSTR-2B. This is expected. Document it in your working paper. Rule 36(4) allows ITC in the period the supplier files subject to limits. Credit notes. B2B CDNRA tab invoices are included automatically. They carry negative amounts. Match this against your debit note or purchase return entries. Same 3-pass matching logic applies. Common error and fixes. Number 1, base folder ends with backslash. So if you go here in the parameters tab, in the main reconciliation file, there must be a backslash like this here. Does your GSTR-2B underscore data subfolder exist? Exact spelling required. Do not rename it. So this folder, if I go back to main folder, this must exist inside all your files. This is a must. File underscore keyword appears in actual file name. Open folder, does keyword appear inside the file name? So this file name must exist. Purchase register here, irrespective of your ERP system. And for GST download, GSTR-2B, this particular 6 letters must appear, GSTR-2B. File inside GSTR-2B underscore data, not parent folder. So all your downloaded file must be here in this particular folder, not here outside along with the main file. So remember that. You can also do quick diagnostic in Excel as well. So I go back to Excel. And if you go to queries and connections, so if you go here under data, queries and connection, and if you hit refresh all, and if your summary output, reconciliation output, these last two queries, because they are loaded in these two sheets, if they appear 0, there must be a problem, or you will see a yellow triangle. That means there is something wrong. You need to check the ground rules I just mentioned. The setup is really critical here. The names, lowercase, uppercase, all these things are really critical for this entire automation workflow to work every time. Error 2, all records unmatched. Extra spaces, leading or trailing spaces in GSTIN. As example here, you can see there is a space, there is some kind of weird character. Lowercase GSTIN. Books exports lowercase, portal is always uppercase. So this must not happen. Truncated GSTIN, column width cut the value leading to digit lost. How to verify these errors? Check GSTIN column mapping. Wrong column is equal to null GSTIN, no matches at all. Open ERP export, whatever you are using, Tally or Zoho. Select GSTIN cell. Check formula bar for hidden characters. Power Query trims and uppercases, but cannot fix truncation. Fix the source in ERP export settings. Secondary check, GSTIN column in purchase setup. Confirm it points to the vendor GSTIN column and not another column. Error 3, DataFormat.Error on date column. You will find such a message as you can see on the screen. DataFormat.Error column, we couldn't parse the input provided as a date value. This would be a Power Query error if there is an issue. Root cause is date underscore locale. That setting does not match with the actual date format in your ERP export. You can do this quick test. Find a January 5th date in your export. What do you see? So you need to have a DDMMYY format, mostly applicable in Indian ERPs. Wrong locale can fail silently. January 5, that is 0501, read as May 1 with wrong locale, silent error, which are the worst thing you can do in data analysis. So on the right side, you can see date locale references. These are the date formats 31/03/2025. So use locale ENGB exactly as per the caps you can see here. Small cap and big letters, small letters, big letters. Same way 31st March 25 with the dashes, same way. And then 31st March 2025 you can also use an IN, that is EN-IN caps. And if you have MMDDYY, which is the US date, you can use EN small dash US, which is caps. Expression error, the key did not match any rows in a table. This is also a common Power Query error. Root cause, one or more setup tables is empty or has a blank or partial row. Power Query expect at least one complete valid row. Look for blank rows at the bottom of each table. Excel sometimes adds partial empty row when you click into the table. Delete any rows not fully filled. You can check these tables for this kind of error, the one you can see on the screen. Each setup table needs at least one fully filled row. Optional fields like SAS underscore column can remain blank. That is a complete walkthrough of GSTR-2B Reconciliation Engine. produced by FinData Pro. Multi-source ERP import from any system. 3-pass matching at GSTIN, PAN, IMS level. 7 categories output status with action guidance. Configurable tolerances, summary ITC position dashboard, audit-ready output. The link to download this tool and get it today is in the description of this video, so go and grab it. If you have any reconciliation challenges this tool does not cover, a different ERP, a specific edge case, drop in the comments. I read all comments and I'll try to help you out.